In this video, we're going to be talking about how to do division with decimals. So think of it as an extension on the previous video that we had discussing long division. Okay, so we're actually going to start with a problem with two whole numbers, 9 divided by 4. So just a reminder on terminology, the number being divided, we call it the dividend. Okay, the number that we're dividing by is the divisor, and then whatever our answer is going to be is the quotient. So when we do long division, right, the dividend goes inside, the divisor goes outside. Okay, now we're going to be asking ourselves, how many times can 4 go into 9? Well, 4, 8, 12, it can go in 2 times. So 4 goes into 9 2 times, which is 8. We subtract, we get 1 left over. Now, up until this point, we could have basically stopped here, right? We could have said our answer is 2 with a remainder of 1. We could have said our answer is 2 and 1/4, right? So essentially here, that would be turning a fraction of 9/4, right? Saying, well, that's 2 and 1/4, okay? But we can also keep going and get a decimal answer. So at this point, we'd need something to bring down. You said, well, there's nothing to bring down. But there is, right? This 9 is in the ones place. The decimal point is right here. And if I need it, there's a 0 and another 0 and another 0, as many as I need, right? I'll only add them as I need them. And just another friendly reminder, right? $9 is the same as $9.00. So I put the decimal point, and now I have a digit to bring down, right? I bring down the 0. Okay, and we continue. Can 4 go into 10? Yes. 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. We subtract, we get 2 left over. So we're still not done, right? We have some left over, so I'm going to add another 0 here in the hundredths place. Can 4 go into 20? Yes. 5 times. 5 times 4 gives me 20. Notice that we have nothing left over. Okay, so at this point is when we know that we're done. So our quotient, 2.25, or 2 and 25 hundredths. So let's look at one more example, just involving two whole numbers here. So this is 1 divided by 8. Reminder, we could also express it like this, 1/8, right? But we wanted to get our answer as a decimal, okay? So the dividend goes inside, 1. The divisor goes outside. Can 8 go into 1? No, it cannot, right? If we look at our 8 times tables, 8, 16, 8 times 1 is already too much. So it goes in 0 times. And now I'm kind of stuck, right? Until I remember, well, there's a decimal point here. And if I need it, there's a 0 in the tenths place. So once I put the decimal here, I'm going to put it up in my answer. And now we say, can 8 go into 10? Yes, it can, right? 1 time. 1 times 8 gives me 8. We subtract and we get 2 left over. So there's still something left over. We need to keep going. So let's add another 0. And let's go again. Can 8 go into 20? Yes. 2 times. Right? So 8 goes into 20 2 times, which is 16. Okay? Leaving us 4 left over. We still have something remaining, so we have to add another 0. And finally, can 8 go into 40? Yes, it goes in exactly 5 times, because 5 times 8 is 40. So notice now we have nothing left over, and nothing left that we have to bring down, so we know that we're done. Okay, our quotient here, 0.125, or 125 thousandths. Okay, we also, right, once we know how to do long division like this again, we can now convert between fractions and decimals. Okay, so now let's look at an example where we have a decimal value in our dividend, in the number being divided. Okay, the process is not going to change very much. I'm going to put the 45 and 6/10 underneath. I'll put the 3 over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put the decimal point right up here in my answer. Okay? And then we're just going to do long division essentially like we would otherwise. Can 3 go into 4? Right, we're thinking of our 3 times tables. Yep, 1 time. We get 1 left over. We bring down the 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, we get nothing left over. So are we done? No, we're not done, right? Because we still have another digit that we have to bring down, being the 6. And finally, can 3 go into 6? Yes, it can. 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. So now there's nothing left over, and there's no other digits left that I have to bring down. So at this point, we know that we're finished. 15 and 2/10. Okay, so before we finish up with long division with decimals, I want to briefly review what happens to a number when we multiply by 10, okay? So let's take an example of 2 times 10. We know that 2 times 10 gives me 20. So one way to think about it is, when we multiply by 10, we add a 0. Okay, but now that we're talking about decimals, let's think about in terms of the decimal point, right? 2 is the same as 2.0 or 2.0. So when I multiply it by 10, right, what's happening to the decimal point? I'm moving it 1 spot to the right. Okay, so 2.0 times 10 gives me 20.0, right, or just 20. Same thing. Let's look at a few more examples, right? What would happen to 1.5 when I multiply it by 10? Well, I move the decimal 1 spot to the right, so now it becomes 15, right? Remember, the decimal point would be right here. We don't have to show it if it's a whole number. Let's do a few more examples. What happens to 0.3 when I multiply it by 10? Well, move it 1 spot over, so it becomes 3. And then the final example that we're going to look at here would be 45 thousandths, okay, here. Well, what happens if I multiply by 10? I move it 1 spot over, so it becomes now 45 hundredths. What if I multiply it by 1,000? Well, if I multiply by 1,000, I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. So multiplying by 1,000, 1, 2, 3, gets me 45. Okay, this is an important thing to keep in mind as we look at how do we deal with long division when we have decimals in both the dividend and the divisor. Okay. Okay, so as you notice here, both our dividend and our divisor have decimals in them. In the previous example, it was only in the dividend the number being divided, and we didn't really have to change anything, right? But when we're dividing, we do not want to have a decimal value here when we're doing out long division, okay? We can't have a decimal value in our divisor. So how can I turn this into a whole number? What can I do to 0.5 to turn it into 5? Right? If I turn it into 5, I can sort of get rid of the decimal point. Well, I need to multiply by 10. So I'm going to multiply this by 10. And if I multiply this by 10, I have to do the same here. 37.5 times 10 gives me 375. Okay, and then when I do out this division, my quotient, right, these two will have the same quotient or the same answer. So as far as what does it look like when I'm doing out long division, let's take a peek really quickly. So I see this problem, 37.5 divided by 0.5. I'm going to go ahead, set up my long division. I put the dividend inside. I put the divisor outside. Okay? But at this point, I need to get rid of this decimal point. How many spots do I need to move it to get rid of it? Just 1 spot over, right? It would become 5 now. So because I move this 1 spot over, I'll move this 1 spot over as well. And once I've moved it, I'm going to go ahead and put it right up in the answer. Okay, so now this is a 5, and we moved our decimal point 1 spot over. From here, we're just gonna do long division as we already know how. 5 can not go into 3, but it can go into 37 7 times, because 7 times 5 is 35, leaving me 2 left over. I bring down the next digit, being a 5, and 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. There's nothing left over, and there's no other digit that I have to bring down, so we're done. Our quotient here, 75. Okay, so this is the last problem that we're going to take a look at. Again, you notice that we have decimal values in both the dividend and the divisor. Let's go ahead and set it up. 2 and 436 thousandths, or 2.436, and we're dividing it by 12 hundredths, or 0.12. So remember, we cannot have a decimal here. We need to turn this into a whole number. So we need to turn this into 12, okay? How many spots do I need to move my decimal point to turn it into a 12? 1, 2 spots, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and say, well, I moved my decimal point 2 spots here. I can even erase this because this is a 12 now. And I need to, I'll leave that to show, right? 1, 2 spots, okay? I'm gonna move this 2 spots, 1, 2, and then put it up here in my answer. Now we deal with the decimals right at the beginning, and then we can basically ignore them. Can 12 go into 2? No. Can it go into 24? Yes, 2 times. 2 times 12 is 24. So when we subtract, we get nothing left over. Are we done? Right? We got nothing left over. Are we done? No. There's more. The 3 and the 6 we still have to bring down. So we bring down the 3. Can 12 go into 3? It can't. Right? And we just brought down a digit. Can't go in. So we put a 0. Let's bring down the next digit. Can 12 go into 36? Yes, it can. How many times? 3 times. 3 times 12 would give me 36. And now we have nothing left over, and there's nothing left that I have to bring down, so we know that we're finished, to give us our quotient of 20.3, or 20 3/10. So I hope that this video was helpful as far as helping you understand the process for doing long division when we have decimals. Okay, it's pretty much the same. The only difference is when we have a decimal value in our divisor, right? We need to be especially careful because we need to move the decimal to get rid of it. We need to turn this 0.12, this 12 hundredths, into just 12. And however many spots I move my decimal point here, I'm going to do the same here in my dividend. Okay. The other important thing to remember, like when we were doing 1 divided by 8, is that thinking of money, 1 is the same as 1.0 or 1.00, right? $1, $1. The value does not change. So if we need to add this decimal point and put more zeros here to continue with our long division, we always have that option. So thank you again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.